Hello everyone, my name is Drew and I am a student mentor at Carleton University's Science Student Success Center, and I'm going to talk to you about being prepared for your very first university lab. Now your first lab, it'll probably be an intimidating experience, and that's totally natural. Because going into your first university lab, there may be pieces of equipment you've never seen before, or just the whole idea of going in with a whole bunch of people not really knowing what you have to do. That can be stressful, and that's totally understandable. But going into it, you just have to try to relax, have a positive attitude, and things will be okay. Because no one's expecting you to be able to perform the lab flawlessly your very first time. Because no one's perfect, and if you've never done it before, there's no way that you can set high expectations for you. Not saying that you won't be able to do it well, but no one's expecting that you're going to be perfect. So just relax, and with these helpful tips I'm going to talk about, you can be best prepared for this wonderful experience. So how to be best prepared? Be proactive. Before you go to the lab, purchase your lab manual. Get it before your first lab. This is university. You can't expect that someone else is going to have the lab manual and you can share with them. No one else is going to be responsible for you in university. You have to take responsibility for yourself. So don't expect that other people are going to have a lab manual provided for you in case you forget it. And also, sometimes you have to take papers out of your lab manual to hand in. So if you don't have your own, you won't be able to do that. But you can usually get your lab manual in science stores in 118 Stacy Building, and that's on the first floor, Stacy. So get that before you go into your lab. Read the lab procedure before arriving to perform it. It's okay if you don't understand the procedure after reading it, but prepare questions for clarification for when you arrive to the lab. So whenever you don't understand, have a question ready for it. And you can ask the TAs when the time comes, when the time is right. But at least by reading it, you're somewhat familiar with what needs to be accomplished, so you're not going in totally blind. If there's a pre-lab assignment, complete it well in advance. So don't complete it while you're waiting in the hallway. And this goes for your first lab, for your second lab, third lab. Complete the pre-lab assignment well in advance, so that way you can ask questions if you don't understand something. And don't be afraid to ask those questions. There's no stupid question, and you have to get over the fear of looking silly or seeming like you're going to be a fool by asking a question. You're not. Everybody asks questions, and everybody, misunderstands things, and nobody's perfect and nobody knows everything. So you have to ask questions to learn. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. Now, during the lab, be prepared to make notes during the lab talk. So at the beginning of the lab, your coordinator will likely talk to you about what's going on in the lab, what you have to do that day, and things like that. And they're going to write stuff on the board probably and give you specific information. Make notes during the lab talk. And make notes during the lab talk, because in that talk, the lab coordinator is going to tell you very important stuff. They're not going to waste their time telling you something if it wasn't important. So make notes of the things they say. It might be something to do with the procedure or something to do with formatting, but whatever it is they say, make note of it. Write it down, or just try to commit it to memory if you don't want to write it, because it's bound to be important. Progress at an efficient pace, but don't rush in an attempt to leave early. So try to complete everything accurately and efficiently as quickly as you can, so that way you can get out of the lab on time, but don't rush, because if you rush it, that's how mistakes occur, and you don't want that to happen, especially in your very first lab. You don't want to screw up too badly, but I mean, if you do screw up, you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't want to rush yourself, but try to progress within the time limit that they set for you. And record all of your observations. Science is based on observations. Record everything that you do, and don't forget to make note of units, because that's every one of you is going to forget to write down your units at some point. But that's okay. Just do your best to remember, because units are so important. If you don't have your units, you don't know what you're talking about. And if you're truly stumped, don't waste valuable time twiddling your thumbs. Just ask for help. If you're stuck at something on your procedure, a TA would much prefer that you just ask a question for clarification than making them stay late while you finish up. So don't be afraid to ask questions if you're stumped. Just get over that fear and just do it. And now, before you leave, double check your observations to make sure you've included all the necessary information. So equipment models, concentrations, all the observations you have to make, and make sure you have your units, because that's so important. If you're handing in a worksheet, make sure you include your name, your student number, bench number, and lab section and day. Now, the last one is very important. So say you have your lab Monday morning, you have to include that, because the TAs and lab coordinators have so many students and multiple lab sessions. So you need to identify which one you're in so that your paper doesn't get mixed up and maybe not marked accidentally. If you don't, and now if you don't understand what what you have to write about in a lab report, ask about it. You have to understand before you leave. Don't leave until you understand what you need to do. Now that's not the same as asking for answers. You have to clarify areas of confusion, but don't ask your TA to write your report for you. Don't ask, what's the answer to this specific question that I have to answer? No, you have to research those questions. Ask them about, formatting or just general concepts, but do that before you leave. Some other tips. If you have a friend who's performed the lab before you, ask what you should expect. Now, this isn't the same as asking for their answers because that is cheating. Do not do that because that is cheating. Just ask them, generally, okay, how long was the lab? What should I expect in this section? Just get a general idea of it if you can. And if you worked with a partner, get their email address before you leave. Because in case, you forgot to record some piece of information, it's great to have their contact information so you can get in touch with them. Now, remember, even if you work with a partner, you have to write your lab reports independently, because if you share anything, if anything is just duplicated between your reports, other than, of course, the data you collect, because that's, you both have the same data, anything else would be plagiarism. That's, plagiarism, that's not acceptable. Also, come to a lab writing workshop at the SSSC or check out our online tips, because that's one great way to, be prepared for writing your lab reports and that. But I have to plug that shtick. So, but I mean, it's great. So you should come. You should definitely come to a workshop or check out the online tips because it'll help. Anyways, that's all I have to say. My name's Drew. I hope this helped. And come by the Science Student Success Center located in 1152 Herzberg if you have any questions whatsoever. I hope this helped. Thanks a lot.